Hi everyone, this is Ben Nelson from HQ. I'm going to quickly go over the SKU deactivation execution guide for you. Hopefully we can figure out everything that we need to know, and this is a nice little supplement to the directions for you more visual people. So I've got the execution guide here pulled up. We will send this to you in an email, but it will also be on the GWiz site on CaddyMaster. So first and foremost, things in the big red, let's go over those. So please make sure you read this in its entirety. I know I'm not going to do that because I'm going to be following through the directions for you guys as I make this video, but please make sure you read everything in here before you start going through. The only reason why I say that is because I've seen a bunch of times people trying to follow the directions and then they read number 3. It says, print out your list, and then they go ahead and they do that, and then they assume the next, step, and then they miss all the rest of the information that's in here. So you might miss a thing or two that we want you to see. So please go ahead and please read steps 1 through 10 first, and then go ahead and try and, do this. So also for you guys, I estimated this to take anywhere between 20 minutes and an hour. If you have to go find some boxes, that might add some time. If you don't know exactly where all this inventory might be sitting, or all these demos might be sitting, that might add some time. If you need some help with the RMA and you haven't done too many RMAs, that might add some time. But long story short, this process is not super difficult, and you should be able to fly through it pretty quick. So please do not hold this off until I have 3 hours open. You don't need 3 hours. You just need a nice little break in between. Also, super important, the deadline for completion is July 10th. Please, please, please make sure you get that done by then. We're going to send it out, and then the quicker you can get this and knock it out, the better. Preferably all in one session so you don't forget and lose your spot and forget what you're doing. And then also, so there's like 250 SKUs or so that we're dumping. So please make sure that you do this, and I will be deactivating these things on a rolling basis as time goes on. So if your SKUs are not out and you have not, taken your items out and removed them and moved them over to miscellaneous, then it's basically going to disappear. And it'll just sort of be floating lost in the wind unless I reactivate the item for you. So it is super important that you complete this on time and ahead of schedule. So July 10th would be great. All right, so let's go through here and let's follow some of these instructions, or all of these instructions, and see what we need to do. So discontinued inventory by center. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. I already have it open, but all the links work. So what I'm going to do is just find my center. I'm going to use Oakbrook because that's the center I used to work at, but all you need to do is just scroll through here, just click on the checkbox. There you go. So here is the list of what we know Oakbrook has in inventory, but we will be deactivating. So I'm just going to use a couple of the top items for my example moving forward, but you'll see some wedges, MD3, steelhead hybrids, XR, Cleveland, some of that stuff. And you also note shaft packs. So moving forward, we do want you to remove these items from inventory, but we want you to not liquidate them. So remove them from inventory, but do not liquidate them. The reason that we're doing that is because we do not any longer have to count shafts from OEMs in inventory. They're just being written off by accounting, so we don't have to keep track of them anymore. And the only exception to that is true spec. So if you still have some true spec shafts, or you're on board with true spec, please make sure you keep counting those. So let's jump back over here to the directions, hold that up, cool. On cell B4, find your center, we just did that. And then using the discontinued inventory list and the out of products list, all the items physically in your center that need to be removed. So I have a little note right here. The discontinued inventory by center is all the items that are in your inventory that need to go out. And then all the items that are in the out of products list is just a reference guide to anything else that you might not physically have in inventory, but is physically in center. So a great example of that might be like some to-reg stuff, right? So you don't have it in inventory anymore, but you might still have it in the center. So we still want you to get rid of that stuff if you can. So that's why I have that list here too. So that's also linked right up here, but I'm going to pull that up, and that's what this looks like. So these are just all the SKUs. This is a whole list of the SKUs that we're getting rid of. So you can go ahead and you can see all the stuff that we're dumping. But please make sure that you go over this as well to help compile the list of stuff that you need to liquidate to second swing. Okay, so now that we've got our pile, let's go over to second swing using the micro link. So just go ahead and follow that right there. I've got it pulled up right here already. So it'll take you to a site that looks just like this. So important, if you have any questions with the site itself, Billy Clark, his number is up here. Otherwise, please direct all of your questions to me, Ben Nelson. So as we move forward, this is pretty self-explanatory, but I just already filled out all my information. You guys will need to do the same. Once you've done all that stuff, you'll see these drop downs. These are pretty handy and dandy. So what you will need to do is you will need to just go through here and you'll need to click on the items and just put in your quantity. So for this example, all I'm going to do is just go ahead and remove a couple wedges and then a two-reg driver as an example. So if you remember from that list, discontinued inventory list, the on-hand list, we had one forged wedge and two milled wedges. So we also had two milled demo wedges, so we have 4 in total. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my micro site. So I've already got it filled out, 1 forged, but we also have 4 total milled wedges. This does not discriminate or separate demos from otherwise, so make sure you put all those in there. And since we don't have that EX9 driver in inventory, but we might want to get rid of that because that's sitting physically in the center, let's go ahead and add that as well. So in the order notes down here, anything else they would like to know, so please just put in your item as best as you can, as much information as you can, and then the quantity. So 2reg, EX9 driver, quantity 3, just making things up. So that's all you need to do. Put as many items as you can with the exception of heads only, shafts only, damaged items, and true spec heads in this list, right? So we only want full clubs going back. So once you're done with that, go ahead and do your shipping labels. So if you have 2 boxes, you need 2 shipping labels, obviously, and then just hit submit. They will send you the shipping labels and you'll be able to print them off and stick them on the box. So jumping back over to the directions here. So we were here before, follow the link to the micro site. Okay, so on the micro site, we can put all the items. Follow the drop downs, did that. Again, let me highlight this. Please do not send back damaged clubs, heads only, shafts only, or heads with true spec connectors. Okay, cool. So the heads we'll leave for later. Damaged heads, not much we can do about that, but please remove them from inventory. Heads with true spec connectors, we'll deal with those later. And shafts only, again, we're only trying to remove them from inventory. We're not actually trying to liquidate them. Okay, so follow through with the directions on the micro site. Again, I put it in there multiple times for a reason. So this is for complete clubs only. Do not send anything back that is partial. So box up all of your items that you could from your pile, put them in, and make sure they're going back to second swing. Stick your label on there. You will have to find your own boxes. So once you get all the tracking information from the Tracking labels, please make sure that you forward them and email them to me as confirmation you have completed this step. Okay, so now to the RMA. So let's go through here and we need to complete the RMA to remove all the items from inventory that we had. Okay, so let's go through and just make sure we read all these things real quick. So ensure that all the items match. If you're sending 10 items back to Second Swing, please make sure that if you have all 10 items of those in inventory that you remove all 10. Please make sure that whatever you are sending back to Second Swing, if they do not physically exist in inventory, like that EX9 driver, you do not need to add it to the RMA. There's no need to create a PO, bring it in, and then take it out in the RMA right away. Okay. Again, do not include true spec heads or damaged heads or any of that other stuff. Don't worry about that. In order to get the list to populate, make sure you click on Show All Items when you're in the RMA. And then please make sure that you input the RMA cost or the cost you're going to take it out at the same cost that it was in there at. If they provide you with an RMA number, please ensure that you do that. And then the final thing is when you're done, please make sure that you push this thing to the sent stage or through the sent stage. Make sure it says closed next to it by the time you're done. If you need help with any of that though, RMA directions linked right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do one of those as an example for you real quick. So sorry TJ, but this is in the sandbox here, so I'm not actually doing this for you, but let's go through and let's do it. So Second Swing. Please make sure you fill out all of your information. Right now, I'm just going to put that in there because that's the only thing that is required to save, but make sure you put in all of your information. Okay, so make sure you click off Show All Vendor Items, and then it'll give you that big list. So let's go through and let's do the MD3. Type that in. So there's one forged wedge that we had, quantity 1, MD3. We had the demo, and we also had the retail version that was in there. So I'm going to do 2 of each because that's what we had. Okay. So, and then I'm also going to add the EX9. Okay. So what you will see is as we go through here, you will see pre-populated cost, $95.59. Please put that over and transfer that over. Whatever the cost was that it was in that, please carry that. Okay, so you will notice that as we go through here, the quantity on hand is actually 0 for a number of these items. The reason why it's 0 for these two is because I completed another example earlier and removed them earlier. But so they would be in inventory otherwise. But so there's no need to remove something that's already gone. So I can click off of those. You'll actually see I'm trying to remove the EX9 because I physically have it with me, but it's not physically in inventory. So you can see right there, we don't need to actually add that item. It can go back in the box with Second Swing, but we don't need to remove it from inventory. It's already gone. So just click off of that. Okay. So put in your RMA number once you get your RMA number as well. And then in your comments, I always like to make sure you put in, Second Swing, return, SKU deactivation, anything else that's important. At this point, please make sure you compare what is in this list and what you have on hand to what you are removing in the RMA. They should match up. They should be one and the same. Quantity should be the same and everything else. If you have negatives, don't worry about those. Don't add those because if you add those, you will only make it more negative. So once you're confirmed that those are the same, go ahead and hit save. Once you're done with that, Go ahead and hit approved. Yes, we're good. And this is where everybody gets stuck. So make sure you click save and then approved and then sent. And only once you've clicked send will it actually remove those items from inventory. And once it looks like this and it says closed is when you're good to go. So once it looks like that, it says sent, cool, those are good. One that looks like this and says new or says approved, we're not done yet. Okay? So let's jump back over. Let's see what we got. So we just finished up step 9, now we're on step 10. This is just a note for you guys. If there's anything that you want to sell in the future and the SKU has been deactivated, please use the miscellaneous SKUs. Okay? So when you're on POS, you're going to go under no vendor to find those items. They're in at 0 and 0, so you can change the cost to whatever you need to do. If you're going to create a PO and use those items, what you will need to do is, if you're doing like a Ping G6 iron as a replacement, create the PO under Ping, and then click Show All Items, and then type in miscellaneous. You'll be able to find those. You'll be able to use those and still sell those items like that. But we're getting rid of those items for a reason, because we don't really think you need to sell them anymore, except for one-off circumstances. Okay? So that's that. Hopefully that helps. Again, make sure that you try and complete this by July 10th. And within the next 30 days, all those SKUs that you see on this out of products list are going away. Thank you very much, guys. And again, reach out to me if you need any help.